Hello everyone, it's Lindsay, and today I have another 100 Days of Bible Promises process video for you guys. I've had some questions about some of the things I've been doing in it, so I thought I would do another process and kind of show you some of those little tricks along the way. So first let me show you what I have done in here so far, kind of a quick flip through. If you're not following me on Instagram, be sure to head on over at LindseyDecor 413, and I have a highlight on my profile with all my entries so far, so you can take a look at that. But here's day one, some stamping and watercolor and some alphabets there. There is a process video for this one on my channel. I will link it down below. I'm gonna do something a little bit similar. I think I'm gonna use the same stamp set, and I'm actually gonna use the same stamp set for the alphas, but we're gonna do some different techniques, so I'll show you that. This one here is texture paste and stickers. I have been using tons of texture paste and texture luxe in this project. It's been super fun. And I'm also pulling out some older products. So this is an older stamp set from Illustrated Faith that's no longer available, but I'm trying to use up some of those things in my stash. This one here is using some printables from Illustrated Faith and then also a stamp set from By the Well for God kind of mixed in there. And then some hand lettering. I'm trying to write in some prayer journaling on each one. Day 5, again, are printables from Illustrated Faith. And what you're seeing here is some bleed through from the other page, and I'll show you that here in a second. But it can either be super simple like this one where it's just some stickers and stenciling, or I've gone into texture luxe and that kind of thing. So here are the Illustrated Faith watercolors, and they bled through a little bit. They are coming through the page. You can see maybe a little bit down in here. So I won't be using the Illustrated Faith watercolors in here any longer. It didn't quite work out. I will play with some other watercolors though. This one I used the Texture Luxe, which I'm gonna use in the video today. And that's what gives this kind of shine. So texture paste doesn't have a shine to it. It's matte finish, and this has kind of a opalescent finish to it, if you can see that. So watercolor and some texture luxe. This one here again is some clear stickers, and here I made a mistake. I dropped my stamp and it made a big old mess, so I just pulled out some Project Life cards and pieced it together to cover up my oops, and that actually worked better. It helps kind of frame in that title there. And then some stamping. I've been getting lots of love out of these two stamp sets from Tim Holtz. I've been having a hard time finding these online for you guys, but I did get them in my Michaels store, so you might want to check your Michaels for those. This one here was a lot of fun. I used some Maggie Holmes paper pieces, some texture luxe. I'm going to show you this stamping technique, this kind of ombre stamping technique. Added some gold thread. Just had a lot of fun kind of piecing things together for this one. Really pretty. This one here I used some texture paste, and this was an idea that I had kind of in my mind all week long. So it's butterflies that are heat embossed on vellum, and then I colored the backside with some big brush markers and popped them up on foam adhesive. So we have these really cool vellum butterflies on there, and then some Neocolor 2 crayons. This one here is the one I had a lot of questions about, and I'm going to show you today how I did this rainbow stamping and a look at the texture luxe. You can see those stars on there, and these are just clear stickers from By the Well for God. This one I had filmed, I had planned on having the video up yesterday, but I didn't love it, so we're gonna revisit the technique. So I showed you here the ombre stamping and then the texture luxe and a stencil. We're gonna do something a little bit similar to this today, and hopefully it'll come out where I'm a little happier with it. But these are some stickers from Brianna Showalter's printable set. And then again, that texture luxe. So let's dive in to today. And so I've pulled out, these were some pieces that I had from a Hungry JPEG collection in a past video. I will link that down below, that I had left over printed on clear label paper. So I think we're gonna use these because the colors go well with what's already here. We are gonna use some texture luxe mixed with some distress oxides, I think. And we're gonna be using this stencil, and we're gonna use this butterfly stamp again. I know you've already seen this one, but I'm really loving it and think it'll pair well well with these florals. So let's dive in. It's not gonna be anything too different from what I've done in the past, but I did wanna show you that stamping technique and how I use, I'll have to find it, my stamp positioning tool that I got. So let's jump right in. Okay, so I'm going to apologize ahead of time. I have the window open so I can hear my kids playing outside, so there'll probably be lots of background noise, hopefully not too bad. But I went ahead and picked out 3 of the floral bunches and cut them out, and I can stick these down. These stickers, clear stickers and big elements like this are great for this project because they take up a lot of space, so it's a very quick and easy way to get some interest and color down on the page. And it looks like it was super complicated, but it was just 3 stickers and you're done. So I got those stuck down and cut off anywhere where it hangs over the edge. And now I'm going to go ahead and stamp my phrase, which will be Ask God. And what I have here is the Tim Holtz stamp positioning tool. This is the travel size one. So it's the new one that came out this year that's a little bit smaller. And I'm just going to prop it up into this book. I have found that this is the perfect size for using in your Bible and for this book. However, I just have to be mindful of that little lip on the left-hand side, the handle part, bumping into my coil bound. So I do have to kind of pull it back and make sure that it's going to close completely. And then I can just hold down the page with those 2 magnets. And I'm going to lay down my stamps where I want them. And then if you close the door, it's going to pick up those stamps onto the door. And here's where I can tell I've still got things kind of in the way. So adjust it, pick it up, and now I can ink up those stamps. So these are the Homespun Alphas from Illustrated Faith. And I'm going to use 3 colors of Distress Oxide inks. Distress Oxide inks give you a much more solid impression than regular Distress inks. And to get that blended multicolor stamping, I am using these little finger daubers. And these are a tool that was sent to me by scrapbook.com. And when I first got them, I kind of was like, I don't really know how I'm going to use these in my world of crafting and what I do, but they are perfect for this. So I have a few of them, and I have like 1 for greens, 1 for yellows, 1 for pinks and reds. That way I don't cross-contaminate too much. And I can just pick up a little bit of the ink and then blend it onto the stamps. So you can see I'm letting the yellow blend into the green and the yellow blend into that worn lipstick, and kind of creating this blend. And you can do this without a stamp positioning tool, just with a clear block, but it is a little bit easier with a tool like this because I can go back in and stamp it multiple times. Sorry for my head, I'm making sure I didn't move it too much, because as long as that stamp positioning tool doesn't move, I can go back in and ink it up again. So I'm going to apply color once again. And since I won't be applying the color exactly in the same place, this is where you kind of get that softer blend between the 3 colors. And I am letting, the daubers kind of go back and forth over the different colors to help blend them, so I get a little bit of an orange and a little bit of a brighter green where those colors mix. And then I can go and stamp it down again. And since I'm using that stamp positioning tool, it's right in the exact same place. And that's just going to soften the blend and intensify the colors. And at this point, the colors were a little bit brighter than I wanted. So I have a mixture here of water and perfect pearls in a mini mister. And Distress Oxide inks react with water, and they kind of soften and oxidize. And so I was spraying this on there to try to get it to oxidize and change the color a little bit. It does add a little bit of shimmer since it has that perfect pearl in it, but it didn't quite change it enough. So in a minute, I'll come back and play with that some more. When you're using your heat tool, just be careful if you've got clear labels down, because it will melt your clear labels and stick your pages together. Ask me how I know that. So you just want to heat it really quickly and not for very long. So I'm going to move on and use some of those butterflies. You saw this in my last 100 days process video. I'm loving these butterflies. And like I said, I found mine at Michael's. I'm having a hard time finding them online for you guys, but I will link them if I can find them. And I'm stamping these in Tattered Rose. So for the letters, I used Cracked Pistachio, Squeezed Lemonade, and Worn Lipstick. This Tattered Rose is more of the kind of soft look that I was wanting, but don't worry, we'll fix that here in a second. So I'm just stamping these in a few different places. I thought about heat embossing these with gold, but I already had a lot of stuff going on, so I just left them this light pink. Now I have some iced spruce distress oxide ink, and this looks like a super dark green gray color, but watch when you mix it with this Texture Luxe. The Texture Luxe mixes a little bit different than regular texture paste, I've found. It takes the color a lot softer than regular texture paste, so even though it looks like I have a lot of ink down on my mat here, you can see it's not really changing the color of the texture paste or this Texture Luxe too much. It just creates this kind of soft greenish silver. It's so pretty. I will be using this again. It perfectly matched the little gray art marks that were already on there and the colors that were in those stickers that I had used. And then here I have another Tim Holtz stencil, and I'm just gonna lightly apply this Texture Luxe through the stencil using a palette knife. Just like texture paste, you want to make sure that you wash all of your tools immediately. Do not let this stuff dry on it because it will ruin anything that it dries on, and it's hard to get it off. So you want to work pretty quickly. And I only mix up a little bit at a time. That way I'm not wasting too much of it. I think the Texture Luxe is a little more expensive than the regular texture paste, if I remember correctly, so I try to use it kind of sparingly. But it just gives this really soft, pretty look, and then once it's dry, I will show you, it has this really pretty pearlescent finish to it. So I don't worry too much about that left side page. I do most of my work over on the right hand side, and you can see that shimmer. So here's where we're going to fix my Ask God stamping. So I have here some Colorbox pigment inks. I'm going to use that white pigment ink. These are the inks I use in my class, so they are super filthy and dirty. But I'm going to go in and just stamp over the top of these letters with that white pigment ink. And that's going to knock back the intensity of the color a little bit. What you don't see is that I'm actually getting my head right over the top of this to make sure I'm lining it up correctly. I just edited that out so you didn't see the back of my head, but I did go ahead and stamp over each one of those letters individually, and that just helped kind of knock back the color. Now I'm going to go in and outline these letters, and I started out with the Faber-Castell Pitt pen, but if you've used these before, you know writing over pigment inks or writing over clear stickers are near impossible with these pens. So you can see I'm having to keep scratch it off screen, and it's not giving me a good line. So I went and picked up this scrapbook.com Slick Writer, I think it's called, Slick Surface Writer pen. I will link it down below. This was sent to me by scrapbook.com, just in one of their packages that they sent me, and it is amazing. This magical little pen can write over anything. It writes over clear label paper, no problem. It writes over pigment ink, no problem. I haven't tried it over gelatos, but I imagine it probably writes over gelatos even. It doesn't bleed through my Bible pages if I'm careful. If I get kind of heavy-handed, it will bleed through my Bible pages. It'll even bleed through these pages if I'm not careful, but it is a miracle pen. It can write over anything. So went ahead and outlined those, and then now I'm just highlighting the verse that stuck out to me today using the Illustrated Faith highlighter washi. And I felt like there wasn't quite enough yellow. There's that big, strong yellow paint swatch on the left-hand side, and it just felt kind of out of place. So I went ahead and grabbed a Neocolor 2 crayon. I think this one's raw ochre. I honestly can't remember. I had such a mess on my desk as I was creating this. I can't remember what color I used, but I'm just going to go in and create some little crosses to kind of spread out that yellow, and then take a wet paintbrush and activate the Neocolor 2 pigment so it turns into like a watercolor or a paint, and that's just going to kind of spread out that yellow a little more evenly. And then I also go and grab a black Neocolor crayon and then just add some little flicks of black paint. And that is really it for the entry today. I know it's kind of similar to what I did last time, but there are some little tips and tricks and hints along the way, and I had a lot of questions about those multicolored stamping. And that is it. So if you have any questions or comments, be sure to leave those down below. Check out the description box down below as well as my blog for links to all the products used today. Give this video a thumbs up if you were inspired, and subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed. And until next time, thank you so much. Bye-bye.